Good afternoon, everybody. Over the next 2 to 3 hours, we are going to be celebrating Jon Clausen, this year's Mannheim Central Middle School Teacher of the Year. Now, if you know anything about Jon, you know that from the moment that Dr. Aiken announced his name on Monday morning, Jon has been eagerly awaiting the chance to be celebrated in front of his family and peers. So we're going to do that for you today, Jon. We're going to take you on a little journey of your life. We're going to talk about you in front of everybody. We're going to show pictures of you, some of them which make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. But this is good for you, Jon. You need to be celebrated. So I have to point out I did not bother to check any of the facts in my presentation, but I've been listening to Jon's talk at lunch for a very long time, and I pieced together some things based on pictures that I found and Googling things. So I can't verify any of the facts, but I think most of them are right. Jon can clear things up later. It all began with Klaus and Claudette Clausen. Now, I imagine them living in Scandinavia and emigrating because they were tired of wearing such heavy clothing. This is a carefree couple, just in search of the eternal tan and a good time. And Klaus and Claudette are very important in Jon's life because Klaus ends up moving with Claudette to Lidditz, Pennsylvania, and Klaus picks up a job bed making at the Eden Resort. Claudette, on the other hand, is the inventor of baby oil. And those two things are very important in the development of Jon, because from Klaus and Claudette, Jon develops a love of two things: spreadsheets and the quest for the perfect tan. Jon's parents are very important in his life. Here's the actual Mr. Clausen with young Jon, who, of course, is not wearing a shirt. Jon and his dad hanging out at the pool. This has become like a theme in Jon's life. Jon's favorite day is being with family at the pool. And some of you know that the real Mr. Clausen is also a lifelong educator, still teaching, at least subbing, to this day after a very long career. Anybody that's pretty much gone through the Warwick School District knows Mr. Clausen. Jon's love of fashion began at a young age. I mean, just look at the style. You think he's stylishly dressed now? Wow. Back then, Lewis, I hope you had a chance to wear this coat and bow tie, and if you didn't, you're going to want to go home and ask your dad if this still might fit you. It's probably going to be a little small for you at this point, but your dad has always been a stud, even since he was young. Now, as a young boy, Jon had some big aspirations. So he wrote this paragraph right here: when I grow up, I want to be a diver and a helicopter pilot when I grow up. In the summer, I want to be a diver. In the winter, I will be a helicopter pilot. When I am a diver, I will find treasure. When I am a helicopter pilot, I will fly over the ocean. Now, talking with Jon, I'm not sure any of those dreams have actually come true yet. I think he's still working on that. But he also wanted to be a hair model. And that dream did come true, as you can see here in this picture. Look at this young man. Look at the potential in this young man. Jon dedicated himself as a child to the pursuit of academic excellence and combing his hair. You know, he rarely left the house. If you talk to kids who knew Jon as a child, they barely saw him. He was just focused. And I look at this picture and I think to myself, wow, I can really see future teacher of the year. But then I see this picture and I think, whoa, what happens? What happens from this point to this point, this point to this point? I think I have some theories, and I'm sure you do too. Those of you that lived in the mid-90s, Jon obviously was heavily influenced by some of the looks back then. He attends Millersville University as a young man, and he graduates in 4 years, but he doesn't really leave Millersville right away. If you go back into the Millersville records and look at photos and yearbooks and things like that, you'll see Jon at Millersville for a very long time. And again, I have theories, not quite sure, but I do know that after finally 12 years at Millersville gives Jon a car and a red bow and says, hey, buddy, you really need to, move on. You need to take your life to the next level. And I don't quite think they had this in mind, but Jon ends up starting his own band. Now, some of you may have heard of this band. They were popular for a while. They're called Flock of Seagulls. So for a while, Jon was the lead singer in Flock of Seagulls, and he enjoyed that lifestyle, but it was just a little bit too wild for him. It was just travel constantly, and he really wanted to come home to his roots. So he starts hanging around Millersville a little bit more until he finds the thing that changes his life, and that is his lovely wife, Tyler. Now, if you look at this picture and you think, wow, Tyler looks significantly younger than Jon, you are correct. Jon and Tyler go on to have two beautiful children who are here today with us, Claudia and Lewis, who I like to call Clive. Lewis, I don't know if you know that. I like to call you Clive. Sometimes I forget your name is Lewis. But Claudia and Lewis are the light of Jon's eye. He talks about these two, like when he talks about these two and his wife, he just glows. They are the most important part of his life, no doubt. Now, Claudia, Lewis, and Tyler, you guys need to know. We know here at school, but you need to know a few things about your dad. One, you probably do know this, but Jon is very funny. When you first meet him, you may not recognize it, but Jon has a very biting sense of humor. He can knock you down faster than you know it with a joke, and he also never forgets anything. So he uses things from your past to make fun of you. And those of us that know Jon well, especially those of us that eat lunch with Jon, know that you have to watch out for him because he may not say much for a while, but when he brings it, he definitely brings the funny. The other thing you need to know, especially his two kids, about your dad is your dad outworks anybody I know. And that I'm sure you'll be the same way because I know your mom's like that too. But your dad works so hard at his job and works so hard at his family, works so hard all the time. I hope you have the same work ethic in your life. I know that the fifth grade team definitely appreciates the amazing things that Jon does for us and for the entire school. He is the man behind the curtain. Those of you that know the movie The Wizard of Oz, this is the way I kind of always think of Jon. Whenever I have to make a decision, the very first thing I do is I go down to Jon's room and basically say, hey, what do you think about this situation? Because I respect his opinions, and I know that he's always making the best decisions for the students at our school. And so I always get his opinion on everything that I do. And I know this is true for Jon's family. I know this is true for the fifth grade team, but other people may get more recognition just because they talk more. But Jon is truly the rock of the fifth grade team. He centers us, always has, always will. So please join me in congratulating this year's Teacher of the Year, Jon Clausen.